I want to share one thing with you, and I would like to hear what you think of this. Now, I know that you're married, and I was talking to one of the men. I also train men to be transformologists as well as women, and they help men in mental health. And because I turned the female process into a male one to help men as well. Anyway, I was talking to one of my transformologists, and I said to him, I said to him, do you know what it's like? We were talking about dating, and he said, oh yeah, you know, something about, you know, you go on a date, and you know, geez, you know, it's kind of hard to find a woman, blah blah blah. You know, they don't. I don't know what the conversation was about, but I turned around and I said, do you realise that? Now, this is a really wonderful man, and he wasn't aware of this one thing. I said to him, I said, do you realise when a woman goes on a date, first of all, she's got to make sure someone knows where she's going. Does a guy need to do that? No. I said, she's got a will I die tonight plan in case I die tonight. She has to worry, is her dude going to be spiked? Is there going to be people around? Will this guy, if I dare be alone, will he be one of the type that, you know, hurts me? And what if I, you know, yeah, that fear of our life on a date. Whereas he said, oh, I would just assume that if she wasn't interested, she wasn't interested. I said, no, maybe she's scared. That women go on dates, they have to have an amazing big plan these days. You know,
well, you know, it was interesting. This happened to me just this week, not on a date, obviously, but when I went to New York, they flew me from Louisiana to New York to do the Megyn Kelly show. And it was very quick. Like didn't know when I was leaving. So they send me my itinerary and, you know, okay, you go to the plane, get on the plane. And then I fly to New York, and now I don't know where the hotel is. And so someone calls me, you know, the person I'm coordinating this with calls me. I call them right off the plane. I'm like, yes, I'm here. What now? Oh, there's a car waiting for you. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to go get my luggage because they made me check my bag. And so I'm standing at the luggage thing, and the car service calls me and says, our driver's trying to find you. And so he says, hang on. It's getting really dark, isn't it?
Yeah, I just noticed that, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to step outside. I'm sitting in my shed, and it doesn't have power.
Yeah.
So much better, huh? So anyway, so the car service gets off the phone with me, and then within a few minutes, a man walks up to me, and he's got my name on it. He's like, oh, I'm here to get you. And I'm like, okay. So then we began walking, and we're walking to the parking garage. It's huge. I'm in JFK, and so it's a huge airport.
Mm-hmm.
But like trying to get hold of someone to tell me where I'm going, because I don't know where I'm going. I don't even know the hotel I'm going to. And I'm starting to panic because it's like, okay, this guy looks like a driver, and he has my name on a card, but how do I know he didn't find it in the garbage, or he didn't overhear my name? And then how do I know that when I get in the car that he's going to take me where I'm supposed to be? I mean, it was almost in a full panic before I finally got someone to tell me, because he was like, oh yeah, I know where we're going. I'm like, yeah, but I don't. If you don't understand, I need to know where I'm going. So that, you know, even though, you know, the odds of anything untoward happening, that's just how we have to be. You know, we have to absolutely.
You know why? Because intrinsically we know we're weaker physically, and that's okay. We're wired that way, but it's when it's abused, and the fact that it is abused so much, so much, and yeah, it is. It's very different for men and women, and I think we've not really explained it really well. So I want to I would like to have just a little chat with you to see because I think that people can watch other videos to find out a lot about why you care so much about the Me Too movement. And look, this is about the Me Too movement and you know, but I think that the Me Too movement is a lot more. I think what it's done is it is finally time to address the entire you know, sex war and go, hang on, let's just understand each other. Let's come and empathize. Let's get on a bloody couch. And you know, a lot of good guys, they don't understand because they don't actually know what it's like to be a woman, to fully understand. I believe if they fully understood, they would stand up for us. I feel like they don't realise how much we need them right now and to protect us and stand up for us. I don't feel like the Me Too movement's a women's issue. I feel like it's a man's issue. Boys, guys, your brothers are out of hand.
Well, but we need each other. I mean, the idea that the Me Too movement is about destroying men is absurd. It's about making sure that women are safe. It's not about hurting men. It's about keeping women safe and ensuring that they aren't prey and they aren't subjected to the you know, and here's the thing too. Men are just as affected by this culture as women are. So this idea that men who, like Tony Robbins, who is embracing ideas that create the problem, but he grew up in this culture. He's adapted to this culture.
That's right.
So we can't. So we can't just blame him for these ideas. We need to address how these ideas have become entrenched and reach out and talk to each other about where, you know, the healing is, because the men and women have adapted to this cultural attitude that, you know, around sex and women and power, and we need to break out of it. But it requires discussion. We have to care about each other.
You know, all these women I'm setting free, I want them to be able to find men that can match that level of freedom, baby. Because, you know, what are we going to do? Free all these women, and then there's, you know, not enough men who can handle a free-spirited woman. So, yeah,
right. The way people address it does matter, but everyone's so different. No one thing is going to work.
No,
and
that's right.
But I do think that coming from a place of compassion and respect, it's not like the things that some people have said or some of the comments aren't very hurtful or just make me angry. But I always remind myself that you know, that doesn't get us anywhere. The only way to make progress in this is to come from a place of, I want to understand you, so help me understand, and I want you to understand me. So if you know, help me to help you understand me, and that, because this is so important to me. I mean, it really is so important to me. It isn't anything I expected, because I've been, you know, you just adapt. You know, I grew up in the 80s. Well, I grew up in the 70s, but I joined the workforce in the military in the 80s. And, you know, sexual harassment was every day. You just accepted it. You just did your best to not go into dark closets or dark, you know, places where you couldn't find an exit. You know? It was just something you took on. So at this point in my life, when women actually started speaking up and were listened to, I was like, wow, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just became something that, you know, in the last 6 months, it became so important to me. And I didn't realize how important it was to me until Tony Robbins started dismantling it, you know, in that seminar.
Well, I think he was definitely, you know, a part of triggering you, which brought that to the surface for you to also deal with. But it wasn't just you. He triggered the female. It's almost like anyone with a slight female gene, or even men that have been, I think the men who will really understand are men who have been bullied as children for being smaller in some way. I feel like they would understand. Do you?
I have found, I went inside because it was too cold and dark out there.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope that doesn't mess up your show. I found a lot of men get it, and I don't know if their history was bullying, but they just seem to have a better understanding of or respect for women. And there were even men at the event that approached me to say, oh, there was one man in particular. He found me the second day and he told me, I have been walking up and down the aisles looking for you. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, but I'm so appalled at what he did yesterday. I'm leaving. I just wanted to find you first. And he said, I told my girlfriend what happened and she wants to meet you. She's so thrilled. But that was, and he works with young men to teach them how to, respect themselves and others. And there have been plenty of men who've come forward on Facebook and who've been very supportive. And so I think there are lots of men out there who get them.
There are. Yeah, there are. That's right. And I think we really, really want their support, don't we? There's something else that we want, and that is we want to stop abuse, don't we? So if we had somebody watching this who's an abuser, somebody who abuses girls or women, who thinks he has an entitlement mentality to our bodies in some way, what would you like them to learn? What would you like to say to them in a way that what would you like to say to them to help them understand what it's like to be on the receiving end?
Oh. I think that for a man who is abusing a woman, I believe that is more to do with his own sense of and I would say to him that is that pain that he has. He thinks that he's venting it on a woman. Somehow that solves it. It isn't ever going to make him feel better, and he must find. He must look inside. He must find it inside of himself. I think men who are abusive towards women often have a lot of regret after the fact. I think many of them really want to somehow pretend like it didn't happen because they are so terribly ashamed of it. So I don't think it's a matter of an inability to have compassion or empathy after the fact. The problem is their own trigger beforehand and the coping mechanism that they think in that moment that somehow controlling this woman through asserting their superior power over her is going to somehow solve a problem within them. And of course it never will. It will never solve the problem that they have inside. And but as far as I think a man who beats a woman, if he has no empathy for a woman, he's never going to have empathy. And then the men who absolutely feel that shame after the fact, their issue is deep within them, and they have to make a commitment to look deep within themselves to work that out. And I do think it takes a level of emotional intelligence that requires a lot of effort to develop. I think emotional intelligence is something you can learn, but you have to really want to work at it, and you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. I'm going back to therapy because Tony Robbins triggered me, and I haven't been triggered like that in a long time, and I don't want to be triggered like that again, and I'm dreading it. I'm absolutely dreading it.
No, I can definitely help you with that. I'll talk about that off the camera there, because I know I can help you with that. I know there's a quicker, easier way. You don't have to go through this. You need to get, you just, the last thing you need right now is to have to walk through a whole heap of stuff that, that is not yours, so to speak, and it's not fair. And I know that that part I can help you with, the therapy for women. And definitely have that covered. I have that covered, Nanine. Believe me, this is exactly
you got a pill. So I'll just wake up the next day and I'll be fine.
You actually, as strange as it is to believe, I do have a process that's almost like that. But anyway, I will show you that. You can have a look, and if you're interested, you can have that. And I would be honoured to even do it. And I don't facilitate anymore, very rarely, but I would, because you need to be free so that you deserve that for what you've just been through. You're representing many of us, and you do deserve that, to be free of any negatives from that event. I think that's,
I don't want to think that's not, I mean, the trigger was there, right? Robert.
I know.
So it wasn't, it's just something that I didn't know was still there. So I think, that's the frustration of abuse when you're little or at any time. But, depending on the trauma, it gets driven so deep in you. And it, it's like pulling a weed.
So I'm going to just show you this for a second. I think it reads backwards.
It does. Creatrix. I can read it. The future has arrived. I can read that. Huh.
It's actually for women, and I've got the solution. All we need to do is find the women who need the solution. What therapy out there fully goes through and deletes the epigenetic memory so that you just don't even have the problem anymore. You just suddenly can stand up for yourself, and you suddenly just have now put that in the past so that there's no triggers left. And that's all I help women do. So that's on a separate note. That's actually what I help women do. And now I train men to help men.